Hello everyone. Welcome to my live today. I would like to apologize for having missed it yesterday. My meetings went until late at night and I was not able to go live. But as promised, I'm going to talk to you today about another tip on how to become a reliable virtual assistant. And our topic is about being proactive. What does it mean to be proactive? It means you don't just do what you're asked to do. For example, set up a meeting, that's all you will do. But being proactive also means that you anticipate any potential risks for a project. Hi, Deo. Good afternoon. It's so great to see you. Thank you for the heart. So being proactive is anticipating being 2 steps ahead of any project that you're working on. Some people would think of this as, there's a negative mindset that comes to them. For example, they'll say, I'm not going to bring that up anymore because they might think I'm nosy. I'm only just whatever role it is that you have, and then you'll be stopping yourself from bringing up any potential risks. So that's one thing. The other thing is you don't have the authority to bring it up, so you will just keep quiet about it. So I would like to encourage you that if you see any potential risks to the success of a project, you really have to bring it up, because when the time comes when that potential issue remains unattended and then the problem blows up, you are going to feel responsible for that. Okay? Because if you belong to a management team that really investigates, it will be found out that, okay, you were in charge of this, you must have come across it, why wasn't it brought up and fixed? All right? So, but even if they don't investigate, in your heart and in your mind, you know that you could have done something and avoided a catastrophe or, a delay in a project. So it's important to be proactive. Let me give you several examples. So it can be as simple as being in charge of upcoming meetings. So if you're, for example, your client asks you to schedule meetings, then to you, your job is to just make sure it's on the diary, maybe that you remind your client about when that meeting is going to be. Being proactive is anticipating the other needs of your client. So for example, would that client have a parking space? Would his meetings not be back to back? Would he have enough time to rest and, be ready for his next meeting? What else? Are there any other conflicts on that day? For example, is it his wedding anniversary, and does the wife or the spouse want for that day to be special and there should be no work? So that's just one thing, Or for example, it's a meeting and it's happening next week. You can probe or prompt your client to say, okay, so you have this meeting, have you prepared this? You're supposed to present there. Have you prepared your presentation? Or you were supposed to have a chat with this person first before that meeting. So those things, that's being proactive. Okay, so another example. What if you are in charge of, for example, in charge of setting up email sequences for your client? Just doing your job means you put the email in there, make sure that everything is working, and then that's it. Being proactive is doing a maintenance check. Like every month, check that the sequences are working, right? That's another example. Because if you don't do the checks, then, for example, the server is down or some link is not working, then your client is going to expect that this email was sent out, but it did not send out. So if your client was expecting a response from his audience and did not receive it, he will just find out that, okay, so the link was broken. We could have prevented it if we did a monthly maintenance check. So that's one way of being proactive if you're in charge of tech. Another example is if you're in charge of logistics. So if the company is preparing to build do a construction, for example, and they're ordering materials from a different country, beyond just ordering the materials and making sure that they arrive, you can anticipate, be proactive by keeping in mind what could be the potential delays for the arrival of these materials. That's happened to me. We ordered materials from Europe and we thought they would arrive by November, and we even anticipated that there could be a week delay because of COVID. But that was not even enough for us. The shipment was delayed for 3 months. So being aware of what's happening around you, if you're in charge of logistics, consider what are the potential external factors that could cause delay in the project. Because if all the operations rely on the arrival of those materials, and they keep getting delayed, then it could mean additional costs to the company, right? So if any of this does not make sense to you, please ask me. So that's another thing. And then the other thing that example is traveling during COVID. So ordinarily we would say if you're going to travel, you just have a book flight. You just have to book a flight, book a hotel, but now you have to anticipate so many other things from your port of departure. For example, you're leaving the Philippines. What things do you need to do? You need to be vaccinated before you can enter another country. And then before you return to your country, what do you need to do? So there are additional costs for the vaccine, for the tests, for the quarantine, and then also anticipating what if you get or your client gets infected while traveling. So you already have those things, at the top of your head, so that if there are going to be meetings that will be affected, if those scenarios happen, you and your client are, kind of prepared for it. You would have already anticipated it. Now, what is the reason why it's important to be proactive, to be a reliable virtual assistant? Because if you have the attention to detail, if you have the if you put yourself in the shoes of your client and imagine what the scenarios are going to be, and then bring it up, then your client will have the impression that you are someone who does not ignore things that could become problems in the future. Your client will see you as someone who has attention to detail. Your client will see you as someone who has concern. And you are set to see your client succeed. When all of these impressions, if you leave these kinds of impressions on your client, then they will definitely think that you are reliable. They can count on you to catch potential problems and bring it up, or fix it yourself. They can rely on you to see the solution through. Okay? They can rely on you to communicate and be confident enough to communicate problems. I'm just going to read Deo's message. Thank you, Deo. I'll read. Anticipation avoids serious problem in the future. Taking care of our clients is the same as taking care of ourselves. That's exactly. Thank you so much, Deo. That's right. I think that's a very good analogy. Like, what if the person who's going to be affected by this potential issue is yourself? So if, for example, you're the one who's traveling, and someone else booked your travel for you, all you want to do is get to the airport, make sure your stuff are packed. But if someone tells you, okay, luggage, okay, you cannot pack more than, for example, you cannot pack more than 25 kilograms. Even if your flight coming from the Philippines to Los Angeles has a baggage allowance of 35 kilos, you can only pack 25 kilos because your connecting flight from LA, for example, to Houston only has 25 kilos. So things like that. If you were the traveler and you packed your luggage 35 kilos, by the time you reach LA. What are you going to do? You've exceeded the baggage allowance. You have to pay such a high amount of money because because you did not know that the baggage allowance is much smaller during the connecting flight. So things like that. Now put yourself in the shoes of your client. So me, I've been booking travels and all these things. For example, I've had mistakes before also. Like, I know that he's going to a meeting in Sydney, and then I forget that he needs to have a parking space. That's happened to me before. So can you imagine the hassle to the client about that? He's already arriving, he's 15 minutes before the meeting, and he does not know where to park. So now you're going to be rushing to find a parking space online. It's going to be a hassle. So that's one example. Another example is, for example, you are asked to prepare newsletters. So there you will be given topics to prepare, and then your job is to just write the copy for that, or the body of the email for that. But then you remember, oh, okay, hold on, we've already made an email about this before. Okay, but if you just ignore that, that nagging thought in your head, you go ahead and write that topic anyway, then it's going to be a duplicate, right? So what you should do when something like that happens is go back and check if there really is a duplicate. Because if there's a duplicate, then what do you have to do? You bring it up with your client and tell them, oh, hey, we've already written about this before. What do you want to replace it with now? So that's part of being proactive. And the other thing about being proactive is when you encounter a problem, I encourage you to come up with solutions, like solution A, solution B, because your clients will love this. They don't have to think about, oh yeah, what am I going to do about it? So when you come to your client with a potential risk or a problem, be prepared to give them options so that they will just choose which one they would apply for the situation, or they can have something to discuss or consider already once the problem is brought up. So that's already a big help for them. If you have any tips about being proactive, please share them in the comments. Hi Via, good afternoon. So yeah, those are my tips for you. Be proactive. Don't be afraid to bring up any potential problems that you think would delay the project or would cause additional expenses for the business, or could ruin could affect the image of the client's image. So things like that. Just be proactive. When you spot something, have the confidence to bring it up. And then if it's something that's within your area of expertise, you can fix it right away or bring it up to the person who can help address that problem. There. So I hope that was helpful. I'm sure you will agree that this is not only for virtual assistants. It applies everywhere. But I just like to point it out because if you're a virtual assistant, chances are your client is relying on you to also catch these things, spot them, and bring them up so that they can be addressed promptly. So that, you can avoid mistakes, you can avoid more problems down the line. So I hope that was helpful, guys. If you have any questions about this topic, please let me know. If you're watching this on replay, please type #replay. And if you know your friends or family who could benefit from this, I'm back again giving daily sessions, daily lives. Please invite them to the group. Take care, Deo. Thank you for listening. So I'll be back tomorrow for another tip. We're going to talk about communication. See you tomorrow. Bye.